Hi everyone, my name is Emma or Emma Panada. I use they, she pronouns, and I'm the creator and lead developer of All the Witches. Welcome back to our progress report series, where I give you insights into the game and world of All the Witches. In our previous videos, we've talked about the dice system that is utilized for the game, as well as how skills, attributes, and the fatigue grid work. On today's progress report, we're going to talk about the heritages that exist in the system and the discordance chart. In the world of All the Witches, humans and spirits have lived and worked together throughout history to create their homes and their culture. Throughout their time together, however, they have been plagued by discordance, a dark magic that tempts people into chaos and corruption. Discordance affects humans and spirits differently, and this is shown in the gameplay via the discordance chart. Witches who study magic can utilize discordance to give themselves advantages in times of need, but they have to be very careful or else they'll lose themselves in the process. In this system, you can play as either a human, a spirit, or a celesti, which are the children of the two. Humans are beings we're all hopefully familiar with. Humans are creatures made of flesh and warmth, whose forms are rigid and unwavering. When discordance affects a human, it tempts them into feeling a singular emotion to an unhealthy degree. Happiness, greed, jealousy, pride. When a person is facing challenging circumstances, discordance will sometimes find its way to them. And when they become affected by discordance, they will begin to also affect their families and the communities around them. Witches that are human have a discordance chart made of 3 circles. If the witch is in a dire situation and needs to draw on something additional to succeed on important checks, they can move themselves into discordance to gain mechanical advantages. The first circle they enter themselves into gives them +1 to their success range on a roll. The second circle allows them to re-roll a failed check, and the third circle gives them +2 to their success range on a roll. All the while, as the witch is entering into discordance, they're falling more and more into a singular emotion and should be role-played as such depending on the situation they're in. Maybe they're in a combat encounter and they're feeling more and more hopeless as the fight goes on. Or perhaps they're disguising themselves and have to act confident in a dangerous situation, and as they go into discordance, they fall more and more into overconfidence. When a character goes into the third level of discordance, they'll be so lost to it that they will need their party members to help them center themselves once again, and will no longer be able to do it themselves. We'll talk more about how witches center people in a future video. Spirits, on the other hand, are creatures that can take a large variety of forms. Their form is much more malleable and capable of change than a human's, but on average, they are around the same size as humans. A spirit's form is normally created around a singular element. Some spirits are beings of flame, others of nature and plant life, some of water, and so on. While one spirit may look much like a tree man, another may be small and have a large head made of flame. There is a lot of diversity among them, and this gives players a wide range of options to choose from in their character creation for how their character looks. Discordance affects spirits differently than it does humans. Rather than affect their emotions, discordance alters a spirit's form. A spirit who is a witch can utilize discordance to give themselves different kinds of gameplay advantages than humans. A human's discordance chart is much more based around bending their luck and helping them succeed at checks more. A spirit's discordance chart is based around giving them different abilities. When a player makes a spirit at the beginning of the game, they choose 3 features that discordance can affect for their character, and those are represented on their discordance chart, which has 3 paths of 3 circles on it. A player may choose for discordance to give their spirit flight, or claws to make them a better fighter, or even better their senses, or a number of different options. The further down one path on their chart they go, the stronger that ability will be. Spirits are not limited to only taking traits from one discordance path. They can take 1 point of discordance for flight, 1 for claws, and 1 for senses if they want to. But once they take that 3rd point of discordance, they'll lose control of their character at the end of the scene they're in, as their spirit will become a being of nature, almost like an animal or a monster. Their party will then have to help them center themselves once again to get them back under the player's control. As the children of spirits and humans, Celesti have forms that are largely humanoid, but with an aspect to them that are very spirit-based. Perhaps they have hair that flows like water, eyes made of light, ears that are much like a cat, or their arms are black like ash and their fingernails are made of fire. A character can choose whatever kind of spirit trait for their Celesti. A Celesti's discordance chart is a combination of both the human and spirit chart. Celesti have 2 paths on their discordance chart, one to highlight the human side of their heritage and the other for their spirit side. Each path only has 2 circles on it, and they function the same way as a human and spirit's chart, but they can only enter the first 2 tiers of benefits that a spirit or human would normally get. A Celesti witch can take 2 points of discordance on their human path and 1 on their spirit path, or vice versa. But once they reach their 3rd discordance point taken, they lose control, much like a human would. They're overcome by a certain emotion, and they often have a minor physical change as well. Thank you so much for joining us on this adventure. Please join me next week when we talk about the various magical disciplines that your character can specialize in All the Witches. If you'd like to follow our progress outside of these videos, you can follow us at allthewitches_ on Twitter. The link is in the description. Bye, and we'll see you next time.